Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of WP Crafter Unscripted. And I'm joined with my co-host here, Paul. In this episode, we're going to be talking about all of the revenue or income opportunities that are available inside of WordPress or that relate to WordPress. But before we get started, I just want to say hello to my co-host, Paul. How is your week going, Paul?
Hey Adam, it's going pretty good, actually. I don't know if you guys are aware over in America, but I know we talked about this the other day, but here in Europe as such, or in the UK, we've got the big football, the soccer tournament, right? And last time I mentioned this, we were just, there was a game coming up, and England are in the final, which is on Sunday. So our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is talking about a national holiday on Monday if we win. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh,
man.
if you win, like everybody's doesn't have to go to work, banks are closed and all that, like a national holiday.
Yeah, exactly. So
wow.
So no pressure on the players. If they lose, we all have to go to work. So but yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that match on Sunday. And tomorrow, I've got my second COVID jab. So it's all happening, mate. It's all happening. How about you?
I've had a typical week. I did something new this week that I've never done before, but I've always wanted to do it. And I guess I'm so behind the times with this. I booked my first Airbnb. And so I don't travel a lot, even though I have a wife and a family, a son and all that. We don't really get out and do a lot, especially with COVID last year. We didn't do a whole lot of traveling. And we've always wanted to book an Airbnb and we just never did it. But I finally did it. And I actually don't want to maybe bring up the cost of the Airbnb. It's not like a saving money thing. It's getting like a nicer like spot thing, So I rented this entire house on the water in San Diego, and I'm going to take my family, my in-laws, and my parents. We're all going to go down there for a few days, be on the water in San Diego and just chillax.
That sounds nice. It's nice to get away sometimes. Just get out of especially at the moment. I don't know what it's like for you, but people want to get out at the moment. Here in the UK, if you want to book a holiday, it's super expensive at the moment. So we've actually done something different as well. We've done something that a couple of weeks ago, we bought this thing called a trailer tent. I don't know if you have them in America, but basically it's like a caravan, but it's almost like a convertible car, but a caravan, right? So you tow it in your car, you take it to the place, and then you erect this kind of, the bottom half is like a caravan and then the top half is kind of like a tent. So it's really compact, and we've always wanted one, and it was a better price than booking a holiday, to be honest. But now we can just go to different campsites. So never done it before. It's sitting on my drive at the moment. I've towed it for the first time. So, we're all in new territory for this holiday business at the moment, post-COVID.
You have to take a picture of that and share it in the Facebook group. I think it'd be interesting to see that. We do have those here.
Yeah.
I like camping, but my wife doesn't, so I will never probably go camping with my family. I don't think my son, he's 15, has ever been camping. So they call it glamping. So we have some friends, they do what's called glamping. That's like to have like luxurious camping, glamping. I don't know. I don't know if you've heard of these silly phrases like that over there.
I do. Me and my wife used to have a different business, right? And obviously we'll get into the WordPress stuff in a minute, but we used to have a business that was selling what's called hen parties and stag parties. And I think you call stag parties bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, right? And we used to sell these parties. We used to arrange people's parties for them, and one of the most popular things that people wanted to do was glamping. And they would hire these yurts or these super nice tents and stuff, and they would get a hot tub and they would do all these activities there and have champagne when they got there. So yeah, I know all about glamping. It's very cool.
Glamping. Well, hey, we wanted to start off this episode by answering just a few of the questions we saw in the comments from last week's episode. So we probably won't be answering questions live in this podcast, but we will try to hit some of those questions the following episode. And I think you have a couple of those queued up for us, right?
I do. Yeah. So if people want to ask, if there's anything we talk about today and you've got a question, just ask away, because we're checking the comments. We're checking all the comments after the streams, and we saw some really good ones last week. And so There's a couple that we wanted to answer, so let's have a quick look through. Okay, so we had Fauzi said, this was in reference to when we were talking about, Adam, you were saying that some of your sites, you have your checkout on a different subdomain, so it's a different server basically, and then you have your marketing site. So someone goes to your marketing site and you put your checkout stuff on a different domain so that the one thing isn't affecting the performance of the other. But Fauzi and a few other people were interested as well. How do you then get the people who sign up on one domain to then have their account, let's say to membership or a login to get the plugin or something, to get into their account on another site?
Yeah, so that's actually quite easy. So the advice I was giving was have your front end website be optimized for speed and performance, and some of those heavier tasks, just have them on maybe a subdomain. And that's how I structure everything in my business. And we're so fortunate. We got some great options to keep them in sync. So if you have online courses and you want that on a subdomain, or you have the e-commerce on a separate domain or the membership on a separate domain, it's super easy to do. So there's the first I'll go over is the free plugin. Actually, I forget what it's called, but I made a video on it. So if you go to my YouTube channel, YouTube.com/WPCrafter, there's a search option, and just type the word sync, SYNC, and it will pull up the tutorial using this free plugin. And I walk you through setting it all up. It's super easy, and you can keep user accounts, login sessions, everything. So they'll be logged in on all the sites simultaneously. That is a great free option. A lot of people, when I made that video, were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," and it is. But there's other options too. So there's some paid tools out there. There's Uncanny Automator. Is that actually what they call it? No, they call it Automator Plugin. There's multiple ways of referring to it, and that's a paid tool. It's not that expensive, and there's lots of things that it can do, but you have Uncanny Automator as an option, as well as WP Fusion, which is probably coming in as the most expensive of the bunch. However, that free option that I made a tutorial on just works amazing. So that's what I would recommend checking out.
Cool. I didn't know about the free one. I've used WP Fusion a number of times. I've never used the Automator one, but I just wanted to ask you something about that, because something bizarre happens every time I install Presto Player on a site. I type in Presto into the plugin thing, and Uncanny Automator always comes up as one of the search results. So why is that? Have they put your testimonial on their plugin page or something? It's really weird.
Well, it's because it's actually smart. So if you have a plugin in the WordPress directory, and say you integrate with another plugin, if you want to be kind of displayed when someone searches for that other plugin,
Yep.
in your plugin's description, say, "Oh, we have," so if you look at it, it says we have an integration with Presto Player. And so it says Presto Player, and that's what the plugin directory picks up on. So all these tools that integrate with Presto Player but have added the text to their plugin description, that's what makes it come up.
I'm glad you told me that. I can move on in life now, because every single time I type it in, I'm like, I must remember to ask Adam, why does automatic, whatever it's called, who knows what it's called. All right, cool. So the next question is a fairly easy one. Les Wampf said, what is your recommended page speed for a website? So I think we can answer that one, that it is as fast as you can make it. But we were talking last week about Core Web Vitals, and I think it's great if you can get in Core Web Vitals into the 90s and the 100s in the Google PageSpeed results. But that is not realistic for all websites. So I've seen a lot of reports out there saying that Google classes a website that scores around 75 plus as doing pretty good. And as we said last week, if you're in that kind of range, you're probably above average as well. So, but in terms of speed, make sure you've got a super good host. You can have all the performance tools you want, but if you don't have a good host, and our recommendation is Cloudways, obviously, then your website will always be slow. So there's the score and there's the speed. Make it as fast as possible. Try and score over around 75, and ideally 100 if you can get it. Anything you want to add on that, Adam, or should we move on to the next comment?
Next comment.
Yeah, the next one was pretty easy as well. What microphones do you use? So I'm pretty sure I know which one you use, Adam. We both use the Shure microphones. I use the MV7, I think it's called, which is the USB version. And you, Adam, I think you're using the SMB7. Is that right?
Yeah, it is the SM7B.
Yeah,
They have
SM7B.
these like crazy. Yeah, the mic I'm using is actually very famous. When you go to the product description page for my mic, they always say, "Oh, this is what Michael Jackson used when he was recording his music." You also see this mic used if you've ever seen the Joe Rogan podcast experience or whatever, the Joe Rogan experience. He has those on the table. So this one's very popular, but there's some negatives with this mic because you really have to feed it into another expensive device to kind of tweak the sound. So I never recommend people go straight into this mic unless they have some serious money to spend and some time to spend tweaking things. They should get your mic, which actually came out, I believe, last year. And you don't have to plug it into an expensive device. You plug it into your computer, and it comes with a software program that will allow you to tweak the sound in live real-time format like this. So those are the mics we use, but there's also plenty of more affordable options. I think you had a recommendation there.
Yeah, there's one called the Samsung Q2U, which I've also got as a microphone, and it is as good as this one. It just doesn't come with the software. But if you are going to do your editing in your audio afterwards anyway, then it's absolutely fine. And it's kind of rated as the best microphone under $100. But it's like you said, your microphone setup, you've got to spend $500, $600, maybe $700 to get that working. Whereas this one is basically like the little brother to your microphone, isn't it? It's the some of the audiophile people would never use this one. They'd always use yours. But this is a brilliant mic. I love it. The settings are so easy. I think it's around $200 or something, but the Samsung Q2U is less than $100 and sounds just as good. These look better. That's it. Fashion victims, I think, both of us.
If I had to do it over again, I would probably get your mic over my mic. But when I bought this one like 3 or 4 years ago, yours wasn't even available. So it is what it is.
Yep. Okay. Another hosting related
one more question.
Yeah, we've got two more actually. How many websites can be hosted on Cloudways Vultr High Frequency? So these are the new Cloudways servers, the Vultr High Frequency ones, and there's also the DigitalOcean Premium one. So it's that kind of higher level of CPU. I don't know about you, Adam, but with me, it obviously depends on how busy the site is and if it's like an e-commerce site or a membership site, something like that. But let's say it's not an e-commerce site, it's just a standard site. I tend to go with the high frequency anyway, because the CPUs are better. I'll probably put about 10 sites on a 2 or 4 gigabyte server that costs $22 to $44, I think, or something like that. It's a little bit more for the high frequency. I know a lot of people get the entry level, just the $11 or the $12 servers, and I've heard people saying things like one site, $1. So 11 sites on an $11 server.
Oh,
I don't recommend it.
That's that's an interesting rule of thumb. I never even heard of that, like as a rule of thumb.
I would prefer, personally, because I look after client websites, I don't want any problems. I kind of go with more kind of $2 or $3 per site per month. But I think it's just a case of experimenting. If you use Cloudways, you'll see you can monitor the entire strain that the server has had over the last month or 6 months or a week or day or whatever. So you can kind of see how it's doing with 5 sites and then go, yep, it's doing fine. Let's add a few more. So that's how that works. And then there's one final comment, which we were talking about Core Web Vitals last week, and Greg said, I think people should be more concerned with the new MUM update than Core Web Vitals. I'm going to push this question down the road a little bit to bring up later on when we're talking about our main topic today, Adam. But I'll bring that one back in if I remember anyway. But yeah, it's a very good question. A lot of people don't even know what MUM is. I didn't. I had to Google it. And it's interesting. We'll find out in a bit though, I think, on that one.
All right. Well, that brings us to the podcast topic today, which is generating multiple streams of income or revenue or income sources using WordPress. And we just have to appreciate the times that we live in today. If you were just to go back, say 20 years, if you wanted to have a business, you would have to go and have some staff, and you'd have to rent an office building. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many people know this. I had normal businesses before I was doing this, what I do now. And gosh, man, the rent for my office space was like 6,000 or 8,000. It was 6,000, I think, per month, and we had to agree to it for 3 years. So grateful for the times that we live in, that we have this opportunity with the internet and with WordPress to generate income that it transcends gender, it transcends ethnicity, it transcends continents, it transcends economic levels, meaning, if you live in Beverly Hills or if you live in a really tiny remote country of the world, as long as you can get on the internet and as long as you have an understanding of WordPress, you can change your entire financial situation. And these tools are available and readily free. So we live in some exciting times, and that's what we're going to go over this episode, is just some of these different income opportunities that are available to everyone, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what your background is. As long as you have the interest of learning how to use WordPress and the ways that you can use it to generate income for yourself, the world is your oyster, and it's completely opened up. The only thing that really is required is a web hosting account, because, to have a website, WordPress is not going to cost you anything, but you definitely need to have hosting. So that actually leads into who we like to use for a host, as well as our show sponsor. I'll pass this off to you, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. WordPress is open source, so it's free, basically. But unfortunately, hosting isn't open source. The concept of open source and hosting is just a different kind of thing. But with Cloudways, our sponsor, who we use for, our own website, our new website, WPCrafter.com, that's hosted on Vultr high frequency with Cloudways. But the thing about Cloudways is you can start small. You can start with a $10 a month server that's actually pretty powerful and will, beat the pants off at any shared server account that you can get. One of the first time I bought a server was a $10 server on Cloudways. That was my first VPS. I couldn't believe how fast the Dopey admin section was going. I was just like, this is like localhost. It's going so fast. So even at the $10, you can get started with your project. But the cool thing about Cloudways and VPS hosting is that it's scalable. So if you get to the point like your business, Adam, you've got 220,000 subscribers on YouTube, a very busy website, multiple products selling with member areas. You've got 20 odd courses or something like that. You need to be able to scale up. And that's the cool thing about Cloudways, is that you can start with something, and then when you need more power, you press a couple of buttons, you toggle a switch, and you've gone from a 1 gigabyte server, which is still quite powerful, and then the next minute you've got a 16 gigabyte server, and you can go, and that is on the typical sort of things like DigitalOcean and Vultr, which are the kind of entry level but still very powerful. If you get to the point where you literally cannot control the amount of traffic that's coming to your website, Cloudways has infrastructure with the Google platform and the Amazon platform, which can auto scale. So basically it means that if your site is getting absolutely hit with traffic because an advert went out on TV or YouTube or something like that, the server just scales itself up. A lot of us aren't going to get there for a long, long time. But the cool thing is you can start small and then you can work your way up. But last thing to say about Cloudways, first of all, they've helped me make a lot of revenue over the years with some of my care plans, which we can come into that later on maybe. But the thing about it is that if you're not sure and you're like, this VPS thing, it's 3 little letters and I don't like acronyms, they're scary, then don't worry. You can just sign up, reach out to their live chat, and they'll help you migrate the first site there, and you'll see how easy it is. It is the easiest control panel for VPS hosting I've ever come across anyway. So thank you, Cloudways. You can also get a discount. We've arranged a discount for you as well now. So you can go to WPCrafter.com/Cloudways. And if you use the code WPU20, they'll give you 20% off for the first 3 months of your account. So that might only be a few dollars, but it all helps when you're starting out. That's the cool thing about it.
Yep. We use Cloudways, so awesome, and Cloudways is actually perfect with the show topic because it's ideal hosting for everything we're about to talk about on generating these revenue streams with WordPress. So let's go over these different revenue streams. That's why everybody's here. That's good. Do you want to introduce the first one, Paul?
Yeah, so the first one is something I haven't done much, and I thought that this was something that wasn't really a thing anymore, which is blogging, right? So writing blog posts and generating revenue from writing blog posts. Now, we've had a talk about this behind the scenes, and you've kind of enlightened me to how people are doing this now. And you've got this kind of 3-word, I don't know what you call it. It's like a process, a kind of
framework.
It's like a framework or a philosophy that you use for all your content, whether it's blogging or videos. Clearly, it's worked out quite well. You're just all about creating content and now products, which has led to that. So blogging, how do you make money from blogging, and what is the framework that you were telling me about?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to blogging, I think people might unintentionally overcomplicate the way they view blogging or what you're trying to do with the blogging. And a lot of people that have been on the channel know that I have a book coming out, and my book is I got to finish it. I got to finish it. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I got to finish it. But in the book, I do talk about blogging, and I do talk about this concept around blogging. But if we could actually take a step back, it's just around creating content. And so it's very simple. And when you look at it this way, you could see how you could make your contribution to people through blogging and then turn it into an income source for yourself. And WordPress is the perfect platform for that. So it's a very simple concept. And there's 3 words. And my 3-word framework is show, solve, and share. So let's unpack that a little bit. If you're creating content, those 3 little words is all that you need to remember and have be your guiding light. And all of the challenges and difficulties that people perceive in blogging and creating content, they just go straight out the window. So let's talk about these 3 for a moment, and then we'll talk about how to monetize this. We're really talking about creating content. Through writing and blogging is very easy. So the first one is show, which means show someone how to do something. So how many times have you gone to Google and you searched how to do XYZ? Everybody has. My mom has. My wife has. My son has. My son has like a computer problem. I tell him, go to Google and type how to fix XYZ. And so Google's like the go-to resource now. And what is Google doing? It's showing content that basically answers that question. So when you realize that people are searching for how to do things, someone to show them how to do certain things, you can create content that shows people how to do something. Okay. Next one is to solve. And this is simple. Solving someone's problem. And this is similar to the first one, but it's different because people are searching for how to solve this certain problem they have. Perfect example is we have a minor little plumbing issue here at the house in a bathtub. The water's stuck. And I'm like, how do I solve this dang problem? And I quickly learned not to pour Drano down the drain because it'll damage the pipes. But the point is people are searching on Google for solutions to problems that they have. And if you're creating content that helps them solve this problem that they have, Google's going to see the content on your website and it's going to recommend it, and without having to do all these like complicated hacky things. The last one is share. And share is easy. It's sharing your opinion or your experience on something. People are looking for reviews or people that are sharing their experience. Maybe it's, I went to travel to this location and here was what my experience is. Or I purchased this product and here's what ended up happening. And those are actually kind of the best pieces of content to write because there's a commercial intent behind it. Meaning, if someone's thinking of buying a product, they're looking for reviews on that product because they want to see, is it any good or is it not good? And so there's this commercial intent. Now, I want you to think about something for a moment as I introduce this framework. If you don't realize it already, you are doing this every day in your normal life. I guarantee you, people go to you, your friends or your family, they go to you for one of these three things regularly. Like, every family has that person that fixes the computer problems, right? And so what are they doing? They're going to this person to solve this problem. And then they spend that one-on-one time solving that problem for that person in their family. Or your friends, maybe you always know the latest or the best restaurants in town. So friends are saying, hey, do you know of a good sushi place in town or something along that, or something along those lines? Everyone's actually already doing this. They're just not doing it in a written form. They're doing it in an audio one-on-one and stuff like that. But if you could take this knowledge and experience that you uniquely have and put it in a blogging format, and you're already doing it, you are now creating content that Google will love. It'll be very helpful to people. And then you can add the commercial side of it. Like, Paul, is there any, I know this is like the unscripted part of the show. I'm sure, do your friends and your family go to you for anything particular, like help, maybe like website stuff, right? Like, hey, Paul, how do I, make this thing over here?
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you're a web designer, you have to keep that really, really secret. But the ones that do find out, yeah, they do come to me, and I don't mind helping them at all. In fact, it makes me feel good helping them most of the time, as long as they're not, asking for a free website that's going to take me months to build or something. But you feel good about it. And I also, not just there as well, I mean, I made a lot of friends in all the Facebook groups and the social media things doing exactly that. I was just writing, so people had questions and I was writing answers to them. But I wasn't creating blog posts. So this kind of knowledge was just going into a tiny little short-term kind of microcosm and then disappearing past all these things. So it's like, and sometimes people, and I would spend sometimes these huge answers that were bigger than a blog post that I would give, or even record a video. Sometimes I would record Loom videos to people in the Facebook groups just to help solve a problem. And a lot of people said to me, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Why don't you start blogging? And I was just like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. So I was always like, there was always like a barrier to doing it, that the natural, just something that was like, here's an interface, there's a question, and I can answer it, versus trying to figure out what the questions were. And so I think a lot of people have a barrier. They're like, I don't know what to write about. Well, how do you get around that? Because how does someone go from like, I'm not doing any content, Adam, that's a really good idea. How do I even come up with an idea? Where do I go to get ideas?
Yeah, so it's the framework: show, solve, and share. Everybody has some form of a unique expertise, or not an expertise, a curiosity.
Right.
You don't have to be an expert in XYZ, but you have to be someone that's curious and can find the solution on how to do it. And then you can write about this solution that you discovered and maybe tried yourself and how it worked out for you. And, when you're going into blogging or creating content, we should have just said creating content, but blogging is creating content. And that's what we're talking about in the context right here. If you go in with the mindset of, how can I help someone else? It's not going into it from the beginning. Like even my YouTube channel, I create content, right? And it's helpful content. I show, solve, and share. And that's what I do every day.
Yeah.
I didn't do this thinking I'm going to make money from it when I started, or this would earn income from me, for me. But when you, for example, create a piece of content that does a show, solve, or share, sometimes there's just a tool that you're going to need for it. So for example, and when I'm searching on how to clear a bathtub where the water's not going down, well, they'll say, well, you could buy this tool, and then there's a link that takes me to Amazon, or, buy this thing in there. And then it talks about how to prevent it in the future. Oh, you can get this little hair trap. It definitely wasn't my hair, by the way. I ain't got no hair.
No, mine. There you go. So,
oh yeah, there we go. There we go. I didn't actually know there was that you took it all down. So, anyways, so it's really, I would do an audit of what you have an interest in. It doesn't always have to be something that you have an interest in, but it helps if you genuinely have an interest in this kind of niche or category, and then the curiosity is genuine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so you have all kinds of, they call them niche websites that are about a particular type of content. So for example, very popular niche is the puppy niche. The puppy niche is a very profitable niche, right? So, when my wife, we got our dog about 3 years ago, we hadn't had a dog before. What did she do? She was reading everything. How do you potty train them? How do you what's the best food to feed them? All of these things. And these, I tell you, whatever website she was on or YouTube videos that she was on, they must have made a fortune off of us, because we needed to get a lot of things for having a puppy. And anyways, so blogging has a lot of opportunities, but I think when you go into it, it needs to be, I want to show someone how to do something. I want to solve their problem, and I'll share my opinion about something. And then you could look at the revenue opportunities in that. So if you need to recommend a product, maybe they have some kind of a referral program, so that when someone clicks on your link, you can generate a little bit of revenue. You're basically creating some content around solving a problem with the tool that they have, or the product that they sell, or the service that they have. So you'll begin to see there's lots of revenue opportunities. Not every piece of content has to be some way to generate some revenue, but you'll see that naturally and organically, there are lots of ways to generate revenue through blogging that way. And it's a great source. Anyone can start doing it.
I've that's what I found myself. Like, I never went into any of the content creation that I've done with an idea that it was going to make revenue, because I couldn't see how that was going to happen. And I imagine that a lot of people think like this as well, if they haven't started yet, how I felt at the beginning, which was almost like, I'm not an expert enough to talk about this. So do I even deserve to say, should I even be saying something about this? But I think what you said about, it's not about that. It's that you've got a curiosity and you want to share something. You don't have to say, I am Professor so-and-so of WordPress and you need to listen to me because I've got a PhD qualification. It's just, hey, guess what? I made a website last week and I found this plugin. It was cool. It helped me. I think it will help you too. Let's have a look how it works. And then, because that's what a lot of your videos are. And you see a lot of really good blog posts, especially the long form ones that really show you exactly how everything works. But I think one of the things to try and get rid of is this idea of imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not knowledgeable enough to do this. Guess what?
I covered that in my book, by the way, Imposter Syndrome, just to let you know.
Exactly.
That's a whole chapter on imposter syndrome, by the way.
Well, that's it. We've all been there. And at some point, I think all you need is you create a piece of content and someone writes to you and says, hey, that was really useful. Thank you. And then that's it. You're good to go then. You're good to go. So in terms of let's say I'm someone with a bit lazy like me, right? So I did do some blogging once and I paid a copywriter to help me. It wasn't like I was getting somebody to write an actual super amazing piece of content. I was more just I needed someone to take my bullet points and turn them into words that made sense. And I then felt more comfortable that I could publish those words because I felt that my knowledge had been taken by a professional or something. But it turns out that really I could have done it myself. Whenever I saw the stuff that came back, I was like, that's good, but I probably could have done that. And over time, I realized, but I mean, is that the only option? Is that basically do you need to either do it yourself and be confident, or because I've heard you talk about some of these other tools, right? And I've not tried them, but some of these AI tools, is that something that you would recommend? Those kind of tools, like for and against, like a copywriter to help you? Because, like I said, I wasn't getting someone to write me an article for the New York Times. I just wanted someone to help me write a blog post about something I knew about and turn these bullet points into something that actually made sense. So I don't know what you think about these software things, but.
Well, there's 3 ways to get the content created if you're blogging. Obviously, the first way is to write it yourself, and you could say, I don't know how to format it. We get all hung up on those little details. Well, I don't know how to format it. We all went, most of us anyhow, we went to school and we had to write papers. You know what I mean? It's not like rocket science. So essentially, if you want to write it yourself, well, you should try writing some content yourself. And the way you do that is you look at similar blogs that have similar content and just look at the structure. So the intro paragraph, or like say there's like 10 paragraphs. What is this first paragraph? It's usually an introduction, right, to the topic. And then how do you segue into the actual solution or the how-to steps? And you can see how they do that. And then how are they doing these section titles? And you can kind of extrapolate the format that they're doing, and you can do a similar format, model the content that you're creating similar to what people having success have done. So the first thing is to kind of figure out the format of what's working in that niche. And the way you do that is just look at the top results in Google and what are they doing. The second thing is you can, first one is writing yourself. The second one is you can hire a content writer. Now, when you hire a content writer, it's not hands off. It's not write an article about this, because they need a lot of guidance. You have to write what's called a content brief. And so this is basically the instructions that you give to a content writer so that you make sure that you get the best results with them. And it still requires your work, right? The content brief, and then they get it back to you and you've got to review it.
Yeah, I felt like I was doing the work
anyway, right?
Yeah, I was doing like 99%, and then she was just finishing off, and she was doing a great job. But in reflecting on that now, I was like, I was basically already there, and most people probably already are. And also there was like I could only afford to do one every 2 weeks as well. That was like the maximum I could do. So I was kind of limited to that. And then when money became tighter, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. But yeah, so for me, I felt like I was almost there anyway. But
yeah, so that's the second one. When you go into having a content writer, you have to know what you're doing. You definitely have to know what you're doing, because now you're putting money out of your pocket in order for someone else to write this content. So you have to have a little experience, and you have to go into it knowing that you're going to waste a bit of money before you figure it out.
Oh, I wasted some money.
You figure out who the right content writer is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Just significant amounts of money.
Especially when I was late. So for instance, if I didn't, meet my own deadlines, I still had to pay the amount every month. So some other things would happen, and I would find there was times when I was available to do things that I'd used all my time up, and then other times I was like, I'm just going to have to waste these 2 weeks and pay for them. So yeah, it kind of, for me, it didn't work. And I wasn't particularly good at creating the content myself, but I did move to that in the end. But I think there must be a better way.
Yeah, well, because you still have to know what you need them to write about, and you have to put together a content brief. Yeah. I actually made a video on creating content briefs a while back. There's actually some great tools out there to make it easier to create these content briefs, but you have to make the content brief. Now, there's a new way, and it's the third way, and that is using a writing assistant. And so this is something kind of cutting edge and new. This wasn't around 12 months ago. You're only starting to see these tools available now, and that's using artificial intelligence to write. Now, when you hear that, the red flags immediately start going up, right? You're like, Oh, heck no. You know what I mean? I've seen some of that stuff before and it's gibberish and all that. That is not what this new breed of AI copywriting is. So essentially, you got people that I believe are geniuses like Elon Musk and some other like high level PhDs. They created a company called Open.ai. And basically, they created an artificial intelligence engine that went out and consumed, I think it's like 70% of the content on the internet to learn how to read, to learn about topics. It's kind of like when you see like the Terminator movies or something like that, and the robot's sitting there and they see like everything flash before them, and now they're like know all these languages and they know about everything, history, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's consumed most of the internet up to 2019.
Right.
And then they created a way of building applications that leverage this knowledge. And it's pretty spectacular. So one of the companies I use their tool, it's called Jarvis.ai. And so the AI is called Jarvis. They called it Jarvis. We'll see if they're able to get a trademark done because, you know, Jarvis is the artificial intelligence and the what is it, Iron Man or something like that?
Yeah.
Disney owns the trademark on that. Anyways, it's pretty amazing. So they released this new feature actually recently called Boss Mode. I have to make a video on it to explain exactly what that is, but you can literally, if you have the tool, you go in and it's a blank canvas and you can say, write 3 titles, you know, blog post titles, write 3 titles about WordPress security tools. And then you just hit a button on your keyboard and then the AI writes these 3 titles. You can say, you pick a title and you put in there, okay, write an introductory paragraph about, and then put the title in and use this as a keyword to make sure the keyword's in the writing. You hit enter and then boom, it's going to write the paragraph. If you don't like it, highlight, delete it, and then have it regenerate it. And it's pretty like if you use it right as an assistant and you go into it with a plan, a content brief, you go into it with a plan, you would be surprised at what the output actually can be. If you just open up the tool though and you go from a blank page, you don't even know what you're going to write about, you don't know what your sections are going to be about and all that kind of stuff, then it could be mixed results, you know. But it's pretty spectacular what these tools are now able to do, and they just keep getting better and better. So that's one of the tools that I'm using and I've been testing and using, and some people are getting amazing results out of it.
Well, I've been in your account because you gave me your login to check it out. And yeah, I kind of first of all was just like, all right, boss mode, hit return, and it wasn't doing too well. But then when I started educating the system and just giving it a little bit to play with, it was just really improving. But I saw some of your stuff in your Presto player. I saw that you'd created some content in your Presto player account as well, which looked legit to me. It looked better than I could write. And that was shocking, actually. But I didn't know that this was using the tools that like Elon Musk and stuff create. That's pretty cool. But I've got one sort of thing that feels like a sort of paradox about these tools and what we're using them for. And this whole mum thing that we talked about earlier kind of comes into this as well. So we're using bots, which is great, to create content for bots. So we kind of like, hey, we need a bot to help the content, and then the Google bot is going to look at our content and send humans to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so who's the content for? But here's the thing, right? I thought about this. I was talking to someone about this just this morning, actually. It's what got me thinking about it. And I was like, well, yeah, what's the point? If we're just creating content with a bot and then another bot interprets it, like if we're just creating like an endless loop of pointlessness. But then here's the thing. Jarvis used to be called Conversion AI, didn't it? So this content is not supposed to be, you know, a tome from a university book or something like that, right? It's supposed to be content that people send ads to these blog posts. The blog post is good enough to make the score on the ads high, or the Google SEO go high. The user comes to the blog post, probably just skims through, goes, yeah, I feel like in the right place, and then the conversion offer hits them. So that's when the pop-up happens, or the offer is in there and stuff. So I was kind of like, yeah, it's pointless making this. But actually, then I was like, no, what is the point of spending loads of time creating blog posts that you're only using to get someone into a site so you can then convert them into a customer or get them on your mailing list or something like that? So it totally makes sense to not overthink it and just create this pretty decent content and use it for converting people on your website to do actual things. The mum thing I was talking about, I forget what it stands for, but it's a new Google algorithm type change thing. And I know I'll get a lot of this wrong. So in the comments, please just tell me where I'm wrong here. But what I understand about this MUM thing, or mum, right, is that, sometimes when you search something on Google and the person who actually got the top search result doesn't even get a link, they get a quote, right? So the top, so basically it's kind of like you want to be number 2, so you actually get like a link to your website. So Google's got this thing, it's like you create blog posts and you want to be in position 1, and someone wins, like someone gets position 1 and a bunch of runners up get on the first page as well. But this mum thing, right, it's more a case of that you would search for something and then Google would present you a page full of resources. So it wasn't like, here's a blog post, here's this. It would kind of take content from different parts of the web and then almost amalgamate and make you a personal digital leaflet. So in your puppy example, you might, type in, how do I, get the puppy to go to the toilet in the right place? And it would give you that result as a piece of content rather than a link to a blog post. And then it would give you some other information and some products, for instance, that are like, hey, if you're thinking about this, you're probably also interested in.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and that was why Greg, I think, in the comments last week was like, we need to worry about this. But the thing is, someone I was talking to had been listening also to the podcast called This Week in Google. And that's where they obviously discuss all the things going on in Google. And the experts there were saying, you know what? It's probably going to be a fad. Google has done this a lot. They create these things that they're kind of like trying to sort of leverage ways to get people to the ads, but people generally don't like them. People do like that they search into Google and they get boom, 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 blog post 1, blog post 2, blog post 3, pick one. Which one do you want? I'll have that one. And then, so that's the traditional way that we're all used to. So they kind of said this MUM thing in answer to Greg's question. Some of the experts at Google are not actually worried about it for SEO people and blog writers. They're saying it will come in, the search results page will change a bit, some things will push down, it probably won't stick, and we'll go back to, how do I do this? Blog post 1, blog post 2, blog post 3. So in answer to Greg's question, I think it's going to be okay. And in answer to my own question of like, what's the point in creating content from bots for bots? I think I answered my own question in a way. But I don't know what you think about this MUM thing or this bots serving bots thing. I don't know if you've thought about that at all, Adam. But
Well, the thing is, when I was talking about the AI, it's very important to know it's not there to write the entire thing for you.
Yeah.
You have to write your content brief to get the best results. You have to write your content brief, but when you're writing content, like that first paragraph sometimes can be like really hard. So it's great for like writing that introductory paragraph, and then like when you're at the end of writing a blog post, like how do I wrap this whole thing up? It's easy to have the AI do it, and it does. Typically will do a lot better than you. And the tool itself is not great at facts. It's not factual. So you can't like go and get like factual data out of it. So if I wanted to, have it write a review or something, I can't because, whatever it's saying about a thing, it needs to be you that's actually saying the certain thing, reviewing or your experience. There has to be that genuineness, and it doesn't have that. It's a great assistant. So it's not a bot writing the whole thing. It's assisting. It's a bot just helping you.
Yeah.
It's an assistant, yes.
Yeah.
And they're very careful to call it an assistant and to try to drive home the fact that this is an assistant. It's not like, this miracle cure for writing unlimited content where you just, but it kind of does that too.
Oh,
But
totally.
anyways, it needs to be told what to do.
I used to have one of those electric bikes and they don't ride themselves. You have to pedal. You have to put torque in and then it matches. And so you're helping it and it's helping you. And I guess it's kind of a similar sort of thing. Moving on to once you've created your content, just mentioning our website for a minute because this is relevant. By the way, we've launched the website for the show. You can go to WPCrafter.com. We've got a links page up there. So a lot of the tools that we'll mention in the show will be listed on there. There's a drop-down search as well where you can search for marketing tools and stuff like that. So generally, if we've mentioned something in the show, it's going to go in there. Now, this week we're in some of the podcast marketplaces now. So we're in Stitcher, we're in Spotify. We're just waiting to get approved into Google and Apple. But as soon as we're approved into those, then we start creating our posts on our site with our show notes where we link up different things. Now, we use a couple of tools on the new website that you introduced me to, Adam. I think one is called Pretty Links and one is called Link Whisperer. Now, I've not really used Link Whisperer, but I've used Pretty Links. And we're using that at the moment to create URLs, aren't we, that kind of make it easiest for us to say, let's say we went to WPCrafter.com/Cloudways, and it's kind of like a 301 redirect sort of thing. But it does a lot of other things as well. It helps you do inter-content linking. So if you're, by the time you've got to post number 10, you've wrote 10 blog posts, you've probably got a lot of interchangeable content that you can say, hey, by the way, I also wrote a post about this back then, or link up words that are referenced to other posts. Is that what Pretty Links also helps you do, or is that more of a link whisperer? Like what are the tools that you would recommend once you've created this content for your, you're starting to use the blog posts on your WordPress site?
Yeah, so the good thing is a lot of the tools that you would use for blogging, there's like free versions of them. So obviously we didn't mention it yet. You need an SEO plugin. It's like choose your flavor. I choose Rank Math, but you choose the one you want. There's so many of them. So you need that. Pretty Links is more a tool for creating short, easier to type in links. So and it's free. They do have a pro version that calculates how many times a link is clicked on. So that really helps you with understanding the person reading your blog post, their behavior. So it does add some link tracking. It also has an ability. So if you're making a website about microphones, and whenever you mention the Shure SM7B, which is my microphone, and we found that out earlier, you can say, whenever I type in any blog post, Shure SM7B, replace or add a link to that bit of text to my Amazon link. You know what I mean? My Amazon referral link. So someone is reading about the Shure SM7B. If you don't have a link right there, what are they going to do? They're going to highlight, copy, paste it into Google. You're just serving them better and making it easier by making it automatically converting into an external link. So Pretty Links does that. What Link Whisper does is something totally different. Now, Link Whisper is only a premium product, but what it does for blogging is really clever, and I haven't found any other tool that does something similar. What it does is it looks at all your content to try to understand what it's about. So when you're writing a piece of content, it'll say, oh, you typed the best microphones for live streaming. Oh, but you have this article here about the best microphones for live streaming. So why don't we swap that text out and add a link to this other piece of content on your website? So it generates all this interlinking between the content on your website, and it does it in a suggestive way. So it'll see the text you're writing, it knows the content you have, and you literally just click a button and it will create those links for you. So when you start having content, it makes it a lot easier, because part of getting someone to stay on your website is to have in content links to other pieces of content that they might be interested in. And it just kind of automates the process. It's actually really cool. I've been using it since it came out. Really, really cool, unique tool. Nothing out there like it. It just saves time.
Well, that's it. Time. I mean, that's for most people, it's the most valuable commodity, isn't it? You know, there's tools that you can buy that do things that you don't need to do yet. You know, that you're like, I'm going to buy that because I think at some point I'm going to be doing some automation funnels or something. And most of the time you can waste your money doing that. Or you can look at tools that you need right now to save you time right now. And those are the ones worth investing in. So in terms of making money from blogging specifically, is it mainly the affiliated products, or is there other ways to make money from blogging?
Well, that's just one of the ways, and it should never be like your main way of generating revenue is referral marketing. But that is one of the easiest ways if you're blogging. This actually kind of feeds into the next revenue stream that everyone should have on their radar and that they should pursue. And this is simply, I think we've titled it digital products. And digital products is, so for example, if you've created all this content on a blog, or you create all this kind of content on YouTube, you're creating this content, a lot of times the next step to generating revenue will be to create a digital product to help whoever your typical person is that is consuming that content get the result that they are after faster. So it's never been easier to create a digital product. It could be something simple like an ebook. It could be that will guide the purchaser through solving whatever problem faster, or understanding something a little deeper, or everything's condensed and organized in a different way. It could be as simple as an ebook. Can be as simple as an online, just a single video, like a single video that you're selling access to that really helps the person get this problem solved. Or it could be a full-fledged online course. And then there's also, you can even create physical products, but we're talking about digital products right now. Yeah. And also with digital products, I don't even think we had it in our outline, is also you're digitizing your time, right? If you're selling something, you could sell a Zoom call, but make those very expensive because you want to kind of get away from trading your time for money. But it's never been easier for anyone to be able to, A, create a digital product, some downloadable resource, and B, to sell it. The tools on that come with WordPress, they're plentiful to be able to accomplish this. And so I will actually give a shout out here. We were talking about shout outs, and I'm going to give a shout out here of a good example. And there's a guy who had someone suggest to him, hey, you should create a website owner's manual. So if you're familiar with this product?
I've bought it.
So if I'm an agency owner and I sold
the WOM.
Oh, you bought it. Okay.
The WOM. It's called the WOM. The website owner's manual.
Yes, the website owner's manual. So basically someone suggested to him, you should make a website owner's manual and sell it. And this is for people that are making websites for others. They can buy this website owner manual to give to their clients along with their website owner's manual. So he's like, okay, just not knowing what was going to come out of it, yeah, you're right. That's a good idea. I'll do it. And it's just sort of some like side thing. And he made it for sale. And that guy's made a ton. Fast forward to today, this was like a year and a half ago. Dude's made a ton of money off of this silly, and not saying that the product is silly, but like when you look at the effort that went into probably making it, he just took some of his expertise from his own life, but then he made it into this little thing that you can give away. Guys made a ton of cash off this thing, and I'm happy for him. And that's like a great example of someone that's created some content. People say, hey, you should do this. And then he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And it was just a PDF. It's not like a big online training course. It's not like this big, massive effort. I doubt the guy spent more than a weekend on it, maybe 4 days making this thing. And not only has he made a lot of money off of it, well-deserved money, by the way, that has helped a lot of people that bought it. Like it like was a true value for these people that bought this from him. And so it's actually probably the greatest example.
Yeah, I mean, I've made money from his product because, I mean, basically I went, not to go into detail what it is, but it's a product that if you are providing a service to someone and that client decides they don't think they need that service anymore because they feel that they don't really understand what you're doing, you use this product to educate them just as they're about to jump. And 99% of the time, they say, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm coming back. Yeah, I don't need to quit the service. I'll keep paying you. And you're like, and it's just unbelievable. It's saved me like $250, maybe $300 a month. And this product cost me, what, $15 or something? And the guy who made it was like, I can't sell it for much. I didn't really have to work that hard for it. And so, and even at the price he pitched you at, he still made a bucket load of money. Not only that, the people who were affiliates to that product were able to easily market that product with their own blog posts and their own content, and they made a load of money as well. So, I mean, he used an affiliate tool. I don't know what he used. There's the WordPress one is it called Affiliate WP? Is that what it's called?
That's the main one on WordPress. The main one that people use
in WordPress, yeah. And he used a checkout system. Probably, I assume he probably used cart flows. If you were using WordPress, exactly. So if you were using WordPress, then you would use cart flows. And the reason because I went through the checkout and I'm a customer of cart flows, so I was like, that's cart flows. And then I was into a membership section of the website. Again, I don't know what he used, but we were talking about these the other day. I mean, there's Restrict Content Pro, so that the person who's bought it can come in and access it and log in and get the latest version, because he does some updates sometimes as well. And we're also talking, we kind of like wishlist member these days because it's a bit easier than some of the other ones. It's got some good integrations and stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's an amazing example of, I mean, essentially he was selling his emails that he writes to clients at the end of the day. I'm
talking about the owner manual. Is that part of the owner's manual? Because I don't actually have it. I thought it was
the website owner's manual.
It's part of it.
It's two things. It's basically the PDF which you send to someone, and what this PDF does, it makes the client really panic, and it says, "Hey, so you're leaving my website care plan, and you need to now take care of backups. You need to take care of security. And you write their name against all these things. You're like, security. If website gets hacked, and say your client is called, Jane Doe, if the website gets hacked, Jane Doe, you need to sort it out." And they look at it and they're like, I don't really like the look of that. But as well as the PDF, you get the email scripts. So the client who says, I don't want this care plan anymore, you just cut and paste the email, put it in there, tried and tested. It's been, multiple people have used it. It's been refined so that basically 99% of the time people look at it and go, yep, you are doing a good job with that care plan. I'll keep paying you the $50 or $100 a month that I was before. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that I was going to leave. And it's amazing. But yeah.
But the point is that, here is something that, probably didn't require a ton of effort, but it still provides a lot of value. It's just a matter of taking a little bit of time, packaging it together, and making it available for sale. It's funny. So when someone says, I'm not making any money on the internet. Well, how many offers do you have out there? How many products have you created? Like, you know what I mean? He would have made no money if he didn't take action and execute on his idea to make the digital product. And it's the easiest digital product to make, which is basically scripts, copy and paste resources and things like that. Everybody has this. That's his niche. Okay, that's his niche, right? So it worked out perfect. Another great example of this is, and I know a lot of people because of Cart Flows, and this happens to be a Cart Flows customer. I'm not going to say his name, but I'll say what he does. He is a digital artist, meaning he's a cartoonist.
Yeah.
Basically, he can make comics. So the artwork for comics. So he created an entire training course on how to create comic books. And the crazy thing is I can't share his numbers, but it's multiple seven figures per year,
Yep.
just to give you an idea. And I'm not going to say the country he's in, but let's just say it's a third world country.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not, he's not, basically his whole life is different because he took his knowledge and expertise, which was creating comic books. He figured out how to create a training around it. He sold the training, and it's extremely, extremely affordable, his training program. And I just I just saw a comment. Sorry, I just saw a comment from Kyle. It made me laugh. So I'm not supposed to do that, but one of the things we're trying to do is not get distracted by the comments, because this is really an audio thing. So we'll have to cut this
Hi,
out
Kyle.
of the audio podcast. This little, yes. Hi, Kyle. We'll do that, and then we'll cut this like a little mistake of mine. But anyways, because I do have to keep my eye on the comments. But anyways. So here's another person who took his expertise, and obviously what he did took a lot more effort than the website owner's manual, right? Because there's videos and all that. But when you when you see the results that he ended up getting and making it very affordable, because the cost of distributing it is so low. I wish I was that guy, actually. I think that guy's doing really good. Let's just put it that way. That guy's doing very,
it's
very
changed
good.
His complete.
So
it's
really
totally changed his life, hasn't it? It's completely changed his life. If he's from a, especially from a sort of place where if you go, right, if I get a 9-to-5 job, this is how much money I can earn. And this isn't like some kind of, we're not giving away some kind of course here that you can buy and how to make money online. It's just that it does happen. People do make good money online by just sharing their knowledge. What is it? Share. What is it? Show, solve, share.
Show, solve, share.
There you go.
Yes.
You should have done it.
But sometimes
me.
I get the solve and show mixed up. But anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. If you're not comfortable with your voice or being on a camera, you don't have to do that. You can make the downloadable resource.
Exactly.
And if you are comfortable with your audio and you are comfortable, you can create some video-based training. So it's so easy to do this. Let's go into some of the tools of this, and then we'll try to wrap up this episode. But so if you want to sell a digital file, there are some tools on WordPress for doing that. WooCommerce is completely free.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go inside of WooCommerce, you create a product, put the title of the product in, and there's a button there that says virtual, and you check that. And there's a button there that says downloadable. And when you click on downloadable, you simply point to the file, and it adds security. So someone can't take the link that buys it, can't take that link and share it on the internet. So there's a little bit of security that gets added when you use when you're using
and that's
WooCommerce.
in the free version as well, isn't it? That's a total free version of WooCommerce. You can do that. Yeah.
Yes. So, and it's entirely free, and most WordPress themes already have styling for WooCommerce, so it's going to look good. If you want to have better styling for WooCommerce, you can slap in the free version of CartFlows, which is a software that I am the co-creator of. It's been out for 2.5 years. It's on hundreds of thousands of websites. And there's a free version that allows you to take a checkout page and put some testimonials in there, maybe a picture of kind of like of the product or something along those lines. You can really get more people to open their wallets and make a purchase because you're adding things that make them feel more secure in their purchase. So you can use CartFlows for that. And about the website owner's manual, they're also using a free tool that I had made, and it's free to everyone. It's just type cart abandonment for WooCommerce. That's a whole separate topic, but he finally added that, and he ended up making thousands of extra dollars. I have a video on that. So these are some of the tools that you can use if it's simply just like a downloadable file that you're selling. You can have a membership if you want to protect your content behind a membership. We mentioned wishlist member makes that very easy. There's also, if you're creating a training course, there are multiple online course online course plugins that you can use. I prefer a paid one, and I'll just say it's LearnDash. However, there's multiple free ones as well. If you're starting and you got zero budget, you can get away with that as well. So I think the free one, like if you're never going to have money to buy one of these course platforms, you can use Tutor LMS. And they will let you take payments. There's Lifter LMS as well, but they don't let you take payments to give access to a training course. And then you can mix in Presto Player, the free version of Presto Player, or the pro version, who knows. So there's lots of great tools out there to make this very easy to do today. Creating a resource, I'm sure you know how to create a PDF. You could probably hire someone on Fiverr to help you format a digital download or something like that to make it look great.
Yeah, don't underestimate Fiverr.
Your resources.
There's Fiverr used to have a kind of reputation of being like a junkyard. It's changed. It's not that anymore. If you kind of just lack the creative ability to turn your content into some kind of pretty PDF that looks premium, check out Fiverr. You'll find somebody there that will help you, and for a really good budget as well. So yeah, I mean, I quite like LearnDash as well. Actually, I've combined LearnDash and Cartflows on an online course website for someone who did an art course. They just digitized their paper-based course as a teacher, because basically this person who did the art course, they got unwell. They were a teacher in like a college, and basically they ended up with like this immunity. I don't know exactly what it was, like an immunity problem. So like going into public places was a real problem for them, and they would get ill all the time. So basically she decided to create a course she wasn't even money motivated, but she did make some money out of it. She was kind of like, I'm gutted I can't share this stuff with my students anymore. Adult learners usually as well. And so she created this course, and she's now moving on to different things, and she's selling the business now. So I don't know how much for, but
wow.
It was already in her head, all this information. But yeah, so if you want to check out some of the tools,
that's the key, right? It's
yep.
I was going to say you might not realize what's in your head, and you might not be thinking, if I get it out of my head and I get it formatted for whether it be written or video or audio, and just format it, you might be surprised at how many people would be willing to purchase that knowledge from you. Yep. And you can start low. You don't have to start by selling a course for $500. You could start with something that's only like $29. So there's, and kind of dip your toes in the water. And then when you see, wow, you could actually make money doing this, then you do something for maybe $99 and then work your way up.
I think, yeah, that works. I mean, I've heard a lot of people who've made big money from content say they started by getting $5 off somebody. And when someone trusts you to give you more than $0, basically, so they're actually happy to give you some money, that is almost like jumping through a hoop. And basically at that point, if that content was good, then the chance of you selling an $1,000 much bigger product to that same person or someone they know later on is much higher. So you can just, like you said, start small, get your idea, and do something with WordPress, basically. I think that's it. Just try and create some revenue streams with WordPress. It is possible. You've done it. Kyle's done it. I've done it to a certain extent in a slightly different way, which is another show altogether, to be honest. But yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up there, Adam. We've gone over an hour again.
Oops.
Yeah.
Let me just tell everybody watching or listening, there was going to be a third one, which we knew we wouldn't have enough time for. Yeah. And we were going to be talking about using WordPress to provide solutions to people. And Paul was going to have a lot of insight in that as well. We're going to skip over that one. And we knew we'd have to skip over that going into this. But there's a huge opportunity for providing solutions. And I'm intentionally saying not providing a website, providing a solution. People don't want a website. They want a solution to their problem, you know? And so if you instead solve their problem versus just give them a website, there's huge opportunities there. And then you can get that website owner's manual. I think
the
Kyle
website
does.
owner's manual.
Kyle, yes, this didn't. That just was random mentioning Kyle. We'll have to get a link to that on our links page to the website owner's manual, and you know, maybe hear more about the story. So
I'll put a link on straight after the show, so Adam. Yeah. So basically, if you go to WPCrafter.com/links, then any of the tools we remember to put on the link directory there will be there. So I'll get the link to Kyle's website owner's manual straight after we hit stop on the stream, and it'll be up there in about 10 minutes or something, a link onto that. Yeah, Adam.
And I'm not saying, and let me add one last thing about that. I'm not saying we'll go and buy the website owner's manual. You should if you're in that situation. But if you're not someone that's for, go and see what he did. That just means go and look at how he describes it in the page that has the information. Just go and look at what he did so that you can model maybe you doing something totally different but similar in providing a downloadable resource, and take some inspiration from it.
Exactly. I think we should probably put the bookmark in there, Adam. And do you know anything coming up on your channel next week, or you got any plans or any ideas what we might be talking about next? We're always discussing it, so if anyone's got any ideas, please put the comments in. But any new YouTube videos coming next week, Adam?
Yeah, I wanted to, I think next week will be about taking a traditional business that is not online and trying to take components of their business online. So if it's say local retail, taking their local retail and making it online retail. And so we'll be talking about, I'll have some content out about that next week. And that's kind of my plan. Maybe we can tie in an episode next week on it. Who knows?
Yeah. And lastly, people listening or watching, we keep talking about giveaways, and I know we haven't done them yet, but we're just waiting to get listed into the Apple and the Google directories. And as soon as we're in there, then we've got a reason for you to enter the competition and something that you can help us out with when you enter the competition as well. So don't worry, some giveaways are coming soon, and hopefully we might have some by next week. We'll see. I've got a feeling we will, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so then make sure you tune in next week to find out information on the giveaway, because we are looking forward to giving all kinds of stuff. Maybe we'll give one of those website owner manuals away. Who knows?
Let's talk to Kyle.
Just as a tie-in, we just happened to mention it a few times today, totally unscripted. So we'll definitely reach out to him and get some of that.
Fantastic. Right, should we sign off now, Adam?
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And we look forward to seeing you every day here every Friday here at 11 a.m. Pacific. I know we got started late today, 11 a.m. Pacific. And you can do the calculation on what that means in your time zone. But we really appreciate your support showing up. And everyone that left a comment, we'll read through those and maybe pick out a few of them to answer next week on the live show. Other than that, we hope that you all have an amazing weekend. And make sure you spend time with your friends and family, because that's what really matters most. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next week.